So for those of you that I don't know, my name is Michael Ames, and I'm the President and CEO here at the RFK Community Alliance. And I'm really glad you can all join us tonight for this special speaking event as part of the Dr. Conroy Speaker Series. We started the series in 2017 in honor of my predecessor here, Dr. Charlie Conroy. He was the President and CEO of Perkins. And we started this with the intention of bringing together people for important conversations, and bringing those conversations to the communities around us and in which we work. Well, Charlie could not be here tonight. I am really excited to be able to bring this conversation to you all tonight. Charlie does remain a good friend and a partner in our work, and I know he wishes he could have been here tonight. So again, thank you all for joining us. At the heart of everything we do at RFK Community Alliance is a deep understanding that mental health is essential for overall well-being. Across our programs, we care for and treat children, youth, and adults who are managing complex situations and diagnoses, many of whom are challenged by mental health conditions that require they're working with us and with the experts that we have on staff. Sometimes that's in day programming, and sometimes that's in 24/7 care and support. And as part of our work, we're keenly aware that creating a community, providing safe spaces for instilling hope are critical components for keeping the people we serve on a strong and stable path. These same components, I know, are at the heart of the work of the Yellow Tulip Project, which is doing great work to build community and set the stage for important conversations across the country. So several years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Suzanne Fox and her daughter and family. So Suzanne and her daughter are the co-founders of the Yellow Tulip Project. And I met them when they graciously welcomed the friends and family of my cousin into their homes. We celebrated the life, his life. And with their warmth and hospitality, they made sure that we had what was a hard day was filled also with love and support. So since that time, I've followed the work of the Yellow Tulip Project and just been amazed by their work, their growth, and the impact that they've been having. And so with that, I'm really, really excited now to hear from Suzanne Fox and Anna Mullen. Their work and story is, I believe, so incredibly important. Following Suzanne and Anna's talk, Amanda Leviton and Karen Dubowski, members of our RFK clinical team, will finish the evening by offering some thoughts about how they work with individuals who have suicidal thoughts about mental health and about how they work with them about mental health concerns. We will then invite you all to join us for cookies and refreshments at the end of the evening. Just before I welcome Suzanne up here to the podium, just a couple housekeeping items as well. So if you got a cell phone, probably all of us do, if you could just make sure it's on silent mode, that always helps for a nice evening. And then if you need to exit and use a restroom, restrooms are just straight behind us down the hallway on the right and left. With that, Suzanne, can I ask you to come up? Thank you so much for being here, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that really lovely warm welcome. And we met just before and had a really warm, lovely dinner with the team here. And thank you for welcoming us into your community. And as Michael said, it's all about hope and community. And so we just want to spend some time with you this next hour together, just to share our story and fill you in on what we're doing. We know that we're just one piece of a big puzzle. And anyone who ever hears me talk, I always say it takes a village, it takes a village, it takes a village. We're going to share what our little piece is. And our hope is that we'll just find ways to connect, do work together, because this is a really big and really important topic, and the more we can learn from each other and support each other's work. So I just want to share the topic of the talk is smashing the stigma around mental illness, one tulip bulb at a time. And we have an expression that I borrowed from one of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott, who wrote a book called Bird by Bird. And our little mantra that we say all the time is bulb by bulb. Start with just planting a bulb and spreading a little hope in your backyard, and then it'll spread. So this is the story I want to tell of just spreading our message one bulb at a time. I'm not a mental health professional. Anna's not a mental health professional. You will be a mental health professional soon enough. But anybody who reads any paper, anything, any day, knows that there is a serious mental health crisis going on. I think I just got something on my news feed today that again the Surgeon General talks about the youth mental health crisis. And I'm not going to go on about facts and figures and statistics, but I am going to tell you that the kids are not all right. The kids are not all right. Young people are struggling. They're struggling. COVID, we all know, my gosh, COVID, but then beyond COVID, just these are rough times right now with everything going on, with gun violence and division, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to step into any of that, but it's hard right now. And then you bring in social media and TikTok and everything else. Yikes. So we're trying to create a space for young people to know that their voices matter, that you can make a difference. And that's our story of making a difference and having young people use their voices to bring change. And we were talking at dinner a little bit about mattering. And there is a big issue right now where young people don't feel that they matter. And if one young person has an ally as an adult, a mentor, someone that believes in them, that they belong, wow, that makes a big difference. So, Michael said a little story. I'm going to start a little bit with why am I standing here? I'm not a mental health professional. I'm a China expert. I spent 35 years of my life living in Beijing and Shanghai and learning about China, but life is complicated and twists and turns, so I'm starting with this slide of the Okavango Delta in Botswana. And I'm showing this slide because one of the things I'm proud of, so much of what we've created at the Yellow Tulip Project, but one part I'm particularly proud of is a storytelling course that we've created, and Anna's going to talk about that a little bit more later. But when we start the storytelling class, we ask the people, young people, to create a river of life, right? Map out your river of life. What are the waterfalls, the boulders, the rapids? What are the things that have defined you? And what are the things that you want to share if you're going to tell a story? So my river of life, here are my kids. Sam, Nate, and Julia. Oh, I'm a really good mom. I'm tuned in. I'm close with my kids. I take them through activities. I'm so connected, or so I thought, because I had absolutely no idea that my baby Julia was suffering from depression. And in just a little bit, we're going to show her story, her talk that she gave that sort of explains her backstory and how we got to where we are. But I don't think I'm the only parent ever that didn't know that their kids are struggling. And so I feel so humbled to be around young people like Anna and all the amazing young people that are making a difference and telling their stories so other people feel less alone. So here's my China years. Oh my gosh, I'm cranking along. I'm doing China connections and educational programs and everything. And then the August of 2015, right before my daughter started her sophomore year of high school, we went on a hike at Popham Beach in Maine. I'm from Portland, Maine. And it's a beautiful beach day right before her sophomore year begins, and we go on a walk. She says, Mom, we need to talk. Mom, I need to tell you that I'm actually depressed. I haven't told you this, but I want to get healthy. I want you to know I have been purposely cutting myself. I need to get healthy, and I want you to know, and I'm tired of keeping this from you. So, whoa, whoa. How did I miss that? How did I not know my baby was suffering alone? So again, as we mentioned during dinner, that anybody in the room has kids, when they trip and fall and they've got a boo-boo, you run and put the Band-Aid on. You want to hug them and fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. So she told me that she was struggling, was alone and feeling depressed, and I have to fix it. How about medication? How about exercise? How about? She's like, Mom, how about you just listen to me and be there and stop fixing me? So, wow, I've just learned so much on how to do all of this because I didn't know anything. And I'm jumping in to fix. But we still go at each other. She's now 23 and I still jump in to fix a little bit, but I've learned to take that step back and just be there. Be that shoulder to lean on. That's all she needs sometimes. But she tells me in August that she doesn't feel that she's depressed. This is my daughter. And then on Halloween, her best friend Peyton took her life. And Peyton was a gorgeous on the crew team, UN runner. She was just delightful. And it came out of the blue. And I'm like, whoa. And then 4 months later, her second best friend, Beata, took her life. So, whoa, we were in the dark trenches. It was just, we need to do something. Did we have a 5-year strategic plan? No. Did we have, what we needed to do was take the big elephant in the room that everybody knows is there, but nobody wants to talk about it, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it all the time. Let's scream it from the top of a mountaintop. Let's keep talking about it so people feel less alone and know that it's okay to not be okay. And it started in a garden, as simple as it can be. The one thing she didn't mention is the yellow tulip is also the flower of hope. So if people don't know Julia, don't know Peyton, don't know Beata, everyone knows we need a little hope right now, right? And I'm not a gardener, I don't have any green thumb, but I've learned along the way that tulip bulbs need to be planted close together. Tulip bulbs go through cold, dark winters, and the crocus come up, and the daffodils come up, and the tulips are pushing a little bit later, and then, whoa, they're out. And if that's not a metaphor for anybody struggling with mental health issues, that you don't want to be alone, you shouldn't be alone, you should be close together. So we started in a garden, we had our cute logo and our plan to get hands dirty as a community. And I'm just going to sort of go quickly through some of the photos of, I think because what we do is so simple and accessible. And there's a lot of reading these really heavy reports about youth suicide, mental illness, girls struggling, boys struggling. So what we have is a little recipe book on how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Get bread, peanut butter jelly bread. Our recipe is get bulbs, plant them in the fall during Mental Health Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Week. They come up in May, especially if you're in New England. Get people together, get your hands dirty. And it can be as simple as that. And then there's speeches and music, and it can be all sorts of, it can be a little bit bigger. This is a tale I have to tell because I love it so much. There was a young boy in the furthest corner of northern Maine, Aroostook County. I don't know, is anyone here familiar with Maine or Aroostook County? But It's like a 7-hour drive from Portland, from where I am, to get up to the county. And a beloved young man, a high school student who was on the soccer team, and he had taken his life. And the kids at the school went to the principal. We want to bring the Yellow Tulip Project to our school. And the principal said, no, we don't talk about that. And then the kids went to the school board. And they said, we need to bring the Yellow Tulip Project to our school. And they invited Julia up. They're like, wow, that's a long drive, 7 hours, but we're going. We get in the car, and we drive 7 hours, and it was like the scene in the Grinch Who Stole Christmas when they all stand, right? People came from all over the county, and they planted the Hope Garden in the words hope. And here we are, everybody's there getting their hands dirty, planting bulbs, and suddenly the Miss Maine contingent. There was the Miss Potato, Miss Aroostook, Miss Fort Kent, they all came. So I love this photograph because it's just a reminder of that day. That was so special. And then just again, some more photos of, we started in high school, because that's where my daughter was. But mental illness is not a high school student issue, it's a global issue, 1 in 5 people worldwide. So more and more elementary schools. Okay, in elementary school, you might not be talking about self-harm and suicide loss, but you certainly can talk about self-care, you can talk about planting a bulb for hope and asking your friends if they need a hug. There's things you can do at different ages. This photo was really special to me because the tall girl with the vest on is Peyton's sister, Sydney. And she was there planting the bulbs that first year, and it was so beautiful. And this is just, more images of kids paint once the bulbs get in the ground, then it's not that pretty looking, it's just dirt, because bulbs are all tucked in. But we've had more like the Girl Scouts or the Brownies or the kids are painting kindness rocks all around the garden. So it looks pretty all year round. And this is just to give you a sense of our little tiny tulip project that started in Portland, Maine with me and my daughter and a tiny band of pirates, a bunch of other kids that finally hearing about it. And it's just, this is the map, and this is an old map. So it's so amazing. We had people from Western Michigan, from the construction workers, who wanted to plant yellow tulip bulbs. They wanted to put our tulip on their hard hats. So if that's not a story of a single voice can make a difference, what is? It's so humbling. So, okay, we got the tulip thing down, but this wasn't the Julia Hansen project. She knew from day one we need to bring other young people in. So after we got the idea of the tulips down, second thing was we need an ambassador program. And so we started this in Portland, Maine. And the way young people are all connected because they're on this field hockey team or this theater or they go to this camp, it started to spread. Young people started getting involved, and it totally was the ripple effect. And so now I'm just like excited to pass the mic to Anna and her story of how she found the Yellow Tulip Project, and then to talk a little bit more about what the young people do and what it means to be an ambassador, how to bring it to your school, what are some of the projects the young people have done.
Here you go. Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna. Sorry. I'm a 22-year-old senior in college. I go to Assumption University. I'm just about to graduate, but I used to be a 15-year-old girl who was thinking about suicide and who was experiencing deep, deep depression and anxiety. And I didn't know how to tell my family or my parents or my friends. And I found the Yellow Tulip Project actually through a school project. I found them on Google. And I watched Julia's TED Talk that we just watched again. And I turned to Suzanne and I said, I just got chills. I get chills like every time I watch it because I really relate to a lot of aspects of Julia's story. I was engaging in self-harm behaviors. My parents, other people in my life saw them, ignored it because we don't know how to talk about this kind of stuff. It's not an easy topic. And so I knew that I really wanted to bring this Yellow Tulip Project to my small high school in Massachusetts. So I reached out to Suzanne, very enthusiastic over email, and I was like, how do I do this? And she sent me the little recipe book that she was talking about, how to plant a garden, here's some different events you can do. And I took it and I ran with it. I got a bunch of people, all my friends together. I went to a pretty small school. We had about like 80 people in my grade, and at the informational meeting I had for the Yellow Tulip Project, we had like 50 kids show up. So there was definitely a need for some kind of mental health conversation at my school, and I had people that were seniors that were graduating, and they were saying, I wish that this was here earlier, or I wish I could be a part of this like next school year. So we did all the things. We planted a garden, we had a hope day, we hosted like suicide awareness events, we did the kindness rocks. So that was kind of my journey, my beginning as an ambassador, and then I joined the Youth Leadership Board. I served as the social media director, so that was an incredible experience. And because I was from Massachusetts and the organization's central hub was in Maine, I didn't really get to know a lot of people until I joined the Youth Leadership Board. So now I get to connect with all these amazing young people that are now all across the country. I'm in like Wisconsin, Missouri, California. It's just incredible to see and talk to all of these people that are just as passionate about something that I am. So these are just some images of some Hope Day events. This was kind of, I don't have a picture of my Hope Day, but this was kind of, if you can imagine. This is the Youth Leadership Board that I was talking about. I strongly, strongly believe that the Yellow Tulip Project would not be who it is or what it is without the Youth Leadership Board. I think there's so many incredible organizations that are working to smash the stigma surrounding mental illness, but I think at YTP we're different because it's youth voices and we're sharing our stories. So that's what I think just sets us apart from the rest of the country. And then this is an example of one of the programs that we have developed as the Youth Leadership Board and the Ambassador team.
Sure. I mean, what's so inspiring is that I never say, do this. They always say, hey, I have a great idea. So this is Mia. She's a freshman at Northeastern University. Her senior year of high school, she did this year-long program on how to get young people involved and bring mental health awareness to her school. And it was so well received in her high school. So she created this mental health activism toolkit. And I think next Thursday she's doing a Zoom training for any ambassador around the country to Zoom in and learn how to do it. So that's just an example of, now we have this kit because it came from her. Yeah, I keep going? Yeah. And then this is the diversity equity kit that I was talking about. We have a diversity equity team. And wow, did they work really hard and just looking about people's experiences and the need to have more resources for marginalized communities and underrepresented communities, and just wow, this is a kit that is on our website. Download, share with anybody in your community because it's so thoughtful and it's very, the breadth of the communities that are represented with resources and sources and just helplines, it's really comprehensive. Again, this was their initiative and I'm really excited about it. Yeah, so I am going to go a little quickly because I'm just paying attention to the time, but it's such a work in progress. It's been so amazing to see, okay, we started in high school, but we're going up to colleges and out to communities and into schools and down to elementary schools. We've got kids, like I mentioned before, the elementary school kids are painting the rocks and planting the gardens, and how lovely is that? But I do want to take a minute and talk about the middle school story, because all of the youth involved in our leadership team, their stories are different. Some are from Missouri, some are from South Carolina, some are from Maine. They're all different stories. Some are high school students, some are college students. All of them say, when I was in middle school, in middle school, I know my middle school, I had braces, my puffy hair, I was zitty, it didn't fit in, and peer pressure. Middle school was just awkward for anybody. Middle school is just super awkward. But anybody struggling with mental health, middle school is so awkward, and mental health is barely talked about in high school. During like your 1 week of health, you get 1 day. I don't know, Anna, is that true? Yeah, it's barely talked about in high school, but really not mentioned in middle school. So we are like, wow, we need to talk about this in middle school. So we created a whole program, back to that recipe book, for what middle school kids can do. And this is one piece that my daughter and someone on our team created, this nature-based creative daily practice, using art and reflection on how to take care of yourself early. So if you start middle school, when you get into high school and beyond, you've got some tools with you. But there is a nurse in Plymouth, Massachusetts, who found out about us. And sort of like Anna brought it to her high school, this nurse, Nurse Judy, went all in and brought it to her middle school. And she has a tulip team. And I'm just going to go through, this is a letter. Thank you for being so kind to me and for letting me join. Your positivity created brings me joy, makes me, I can't read it so well. This is a wonderful 7th grade with accord snacks. Anyway, this is just a little letter from one of the kids involved. But every month, every week, their tulip team with me. And they created hope bags. They created a tulip tree. Let me see. They planted bulbs. They painted murals. This is their hope garden. There's the kindness rocks around it. They all felt part of something. They created a tulip tree where they collected warm socks and small gifts to bring to this local psych hospital. They painted murals, and they all felt that they were making a difference in their school climate, the way they talk about mental health. So this is a survey that the middle school nurse gave to all the kids that were involved in the Yellow Tulip Project. And this is just super simple. Why did you join? What was your favorite part? How can we improve? Just simple. And then just to give you a sense, and again, I'm not going to take time to read through everything, but it made a difference in her school. And back to the title of this talk is Bulb by Bulb. So this was one middle school in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Now, almost all the schools in Plymouth, Massachusetts are involved, plus the public health center, plus the library. On Saturday, they're having a big Yellow Tulip event downtown Plymouth, Massachusetts. So again, just bringing this one message to one middle school and how it's spread, it so fills my heart. So as Michael mentioned before, we're big fans of using photography and art and storytelling. When my daughter gave her TED Talk, the impact on all of these other young people, because when they've had a conversation about mental health, there's always been a mental health professional who's older, who often has PowerPoint slides with facts, and that's all important. But wait, that could be me. This 15-year-old kid is talking about their truth. So we are big fans of that. So our tagline is, smash the stigma. Anna, can you model? One thing we created is this gorgeous photo exhibit. Because mental illness, you can't see. You don't know. My daughter, oh, she's so pretty. My mom would say, oh, but Julia doesn't look depressed. What does depression look like? You can't see it. So we created this gorgeous exhibit, and each of the models has I am queen. They have parts of who they are, and one of the pieces is I am battling depression and anxiety. But it's more, they're more than their one mental health issue. And so it's really beautiful. It's really powerful, and it travels. It's now in high school in Maine, it was in Pittsburgh, it's in Vermont. The whole intention is for this exhibit to be seen. We also have a digital version of it. And we're a permanent exhibit at Logan Airport. I mean, that's not an example of things can happen. Like my daughter said, wouldn't it be cool if we could be on display at Logan Airport? And then we are. And so, Anna, I jumped ahead a little bit, but why don't you talk about just the exhibit at your school?
Yeah, so when I moved and transitioned to college after being involved with the Yellow Tulip Project in high school, I wanted to remain involved. So I'm a member of the board. And then last fall, I decided that I really wanted to bring the photo exhibit to Assumption. So it takes a village. That's what Suzanne always says, and it took a village for this project, definitely. So we had all the beautiful portraits. I still remember we had to have so many people unloading and hanging them up, but it was a big process, and they looked absolutely gorgeous. They were on the first floor of our library. We held an opening reception. Our president spoke, and then we also had the director of our athletics department. And then we had like a list of questions, kind of discussion points. So how did the exhibit make you feel? Did you identify with any of these portraits? And we just had so much positive, incredible feedback after the event. I know the library has hosted a bunch of different photo exhibits, they said, and they said that this one was definitely impactful, it was meaningful. It's just so beautiful, and they're so simple. So just walking around the room and being able to read everybody's descriptions was really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one more piece of that puzzle is, this is David. He is a senior at St. Paul's Academy in Massachusetts, and he reached out to me. He's from China, and he reached out after walking through the exhibit at Logan, and he said, whoa, mental illness is not something my family ever talks about. Family shame stays in the family, we don't talk about that. And he had been struggling and not talking about it, and he's walking through the exhibit, and whoa, it really made an impact on this young man. And he said he has his whole story, his own story, which is actually on our website, beautiful story to watch if you're interested. But he said, to celebrate my recovery, I want to hike the tallest mountain in South America and watch a sunrise. And do you have a Yellow Tulip Project flag I can bring with me? I'm like, well, we don't, but damn straight I'm gonna make you one. So this is David on the top of the mountain in South America after he saw the photo exhibit. So that was just, whoa, such an incredible story. So the other piece is that, okay, we have amazing, amazing, amazing ambassadors. Over 550, I don't know the exact number, but they're almost all young women. Where are the young men, and what can we do about that? And is our logo too cute, or what's happening? Where are the men? Toxic masculinity, there's so many layers. But we said we can't ignore this piece. So we have this new photo exhibit that's being unveiled May 20th in Portland, and then the same thing. It's gonna travel, it's gonna be digital versions, use it in health class. But we have 20 young men who all wanted to be part of this, and they share a little, I'm sorry it's hard to see, but they have a little quote about what mental health matters, why they're participating, and then what their outlet is. And some of them are lacrosse players, some of them like music, some of them go fishing. But our hope is that the awkward 13-year-old boy sees 24 gorgeous photographs of a diverse collection of young men and says, oh, I'm not alone. So that is something we're also just, again, storytelling and visual photography. And yeah, about the class.
Yes, so another initiative that we have at the Yellow Tulip Project is our Storytelling Alchemy course. So it says you can read, an alchemist is a person who turns any material into gold. So you might have struggled in your life, as we all have, and you're able, through storytelling, to turn that negative, dark experience into something positive that can impact so many people, and is kind of what we're doing today. So I was a part of the first storytelling class, and like Suzanne said, we met on Zoom, I think once or twice, maybe for like a month, a series. We did the River of Life activity. We got to hear from one another about what each of us have endured and what we wanted to share, what we thought was important to share. And then at the end, we had like the presentations. We all got to hear each other's stories and clap for one another about everything that we've been through. So these are some quotes from participants of the storytelling course. So we talk about the ripple effect, and yeah, just sharing your story because I didn't want anyone to ever feel how I did growing up. And then once you participate in the storytelling course, then you're inaugurated into our Speakers Bureau. So I think this is a really great opportunity. YTP in general has given me so many great opportunities to practice a variety of skills like leadership, public speaking. So I think this is another amazing opportunity that we offer to any young person who takes our course. And then switching gears a little bit to another fun initiative, Tails and Tulips is a campaign that is coming up, begins May 1st. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, if you don't know. So this is our fundraising campaign, and it's emphasizing the importance of pets and our mental health. And if you have a dog or something and you go for a walk, you're exercising, that's good for your mental health. You pet your dog, cuddle, that's great for your mental health. So our slogan is "Put stigma in the dog house," and this is just adorable. It speaks for itself. Anything else you want to add about the campaign?
Well, it's launching Monday, and definitely follow us on Instagram and Facebook and check things out, because if anybody wants to get involved, we have every Wednesday Wolf of the Week, and you can enter your dog and showcase on our site. And we're just trying to emphasize the link between moving it for your mental health, and then it happens to be pet appreciation month too. But yeah, so I think that is like a big. We just dumped a lot of information on you about who we are, what we do, but our intention was to give you just sort of a broad stroke overview, and hopefully some things will land and you want to learn more. I think, the next one is just, here's all of our stuff. Just follow us on all those things and reach out. And what we've done is made everything really easy, so that if you're a student, fill out this little thing and we'll send you a whole kit how to get started. I'm a community member, great, fill out this form, we'll send you the community hub. I'm an educator, fill it out, we'll send you the educator hub. So you have all the signs and the things that you need. And then because we're all about building community, we started doing community coffee chats every other month, where people from Michigan and Florida and Massachusetts, what are you doing? What are you doing? How was your Hope Day? What can we do as a community? So we're just trying to keep building more conversations. So yeah, so that's our piece. And I know there's other folks coming up but thank you so much. And yeah.
So Karen and I, we work at RFK, and I work at the Center for Behavioral Health. And we just kind of wanted to speak briefly about what we do and how we can support our clients during times of crisis and provide some resources about what you can do if you know someone who is struggling or struggling yourself with mental health. So as a therapist at Behavioral Health, we are a small group practice that sees clients as young as 6 all the way through adulthood. Our goal is to provide a safe and therapeutic environment for our clients to feel comfortable enough to open up and learn skills to cope with the overwhelming aspects of their lives. We work in the clinic as well as school communities. I'm based at Neshoba Regional High School, and my colleagues also are in the Clinton schools as well. During therapy, we first form assessments. We look at family history, biology, child's history, trauma, symptoms, development, what's really going on. Then we kind of move on to understanding emotions, how to differentiate thoughts versus emotions, and that thoughts aren't always facts, right? We all have thoughts. That doesn't mean we necessarily are wanting to hurt ourselves, but in how we can teach kids and adults that we have power over our thoughts. Next, as a therapist, we really allow space to hold our clients' stories. We're kind of their holding environment, and a lot of our clients have never felt heard. And I actually had a session today with one of my teenagers, and that was the number one thing that she struggles with is, I don't feel heard. My parents don't listen to me, my teachers don't listen to me. And if we can just be that person for 45 minutes to just listen and so they can feel heard, that really goes a long way. What we've been seeing at our clinic lately is a lot of feelings of overwhelm, not having the language to express themselves, a lot of emotion dysregulation, struggling maintaining friendships, and a sense of hopelessness. And I think it's important for us to ask, what can we do to help in the mental health field? So I found some of common myths and misconception around suicide and suicidal ideation and self-injury. And I'm sure all of you have heard some of these myths, but one of them is kids don't have anything to be depressed about. Little kids don't get depressed. We know that that's not true. I can push through depression. It doesn't work that way either. Just like the analogies we were talking about earlier, if you have a broken arm, you don't push through a broken arm. Really, it's about how do you get support and treatment for that. Only very depressed people commit suicide or die by suicide. Clinically depressed people have a higher risk of completing suicide, but often kids are bummed out, bullied, will make an attempt as well. This is one that's really powerful that I try and teach my kids is talking about suicide gives you the idea to kill themselves. That's not necessarily true. We know the more we talk about it, the more educated we become, the less likely kids are going to feel not heard and less alone. Another common myth is there's nothing you can do about someone who really wants to kill themselves. Yes, you can. You can listen. You can provide resources. You can just be their holding environment for them. If someone has an uncompleted suicide attempt, then they probably won't try again. This isn't true. People who have unsuccessful attempts are more likely to make another attempt than someone who's never made an attempt. This is another myth that, especially my parents, I talk with them about is self-injurious behavior is a precursor to committing suicide. There is a huge differentiation between suicidal ideation and self-injurious behavior. And I think there's a lot of common misconceptions around that. Self-injury is not suicide attempts, and sometimes it's really, I need support, or I need a release, or I feel so numb, this is the only way I can feel. That doesn't necessarily mean that they want to unalive themselves. If someone's talking about suicide, they don't really mean it. It's another common myth. Most people who are thinking about suicide are ambivalent. They're looking for a reason to not kill themselves. And one other myth is if someone is talking about suicide, they don't really mean it. That's not true. They're just looking for help. So I kind of just want to quickly talk about depression and how do we know our kids are depressed, or how do we know if a loved one is depressed? There's a difference between biologically being predisposed to depression versus environmental factors. And kind of what we keep talking about is depression is illness, and it's an invisible illness, but you still need to treat it. Some of the signs are changes in mood, less sleep, can't concentrate, easily agitated, hopelessness, change of eating, overwhelmed, or self-medicating. What can parents do? And here's a list of things not to say. You don't say it will pass, everyone goes through this, look on the bright side, you're acting crazy, get over it, shake it off, I know how you feel. I know how you feel is a really invalidating statement because you actually don't know how everyone feels. As a therapist, I catch myself saying it too, oh, I get it. No, I don't, I've never walked a day in your shoes. So really being mindful about language and how sometimes we think we're being helpful, but it can sometimes be invalidating. But what you can do is listen. I think as a therapist, I'm sure you do the same thing here, is really just listening. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to fill the space. Sometimes I'm very guilty of it. I don't like lull conversations. I might try and catch myself being like, that must be hard. And really just zipping it and just listening is so powerful. Regardless what you might not like or agree with, it's especially as a parent, just listening is such a powerful tool. Keeping rules and boundaries, when our kids are hurt and we want to fix, we want to save, we want to rescue, but really the most powerful thing you can do is be consistent, set boundaries. Just because you're feeling depressed doesn't mean you don't have to do the dishes, right? Like, the more you're consistent, is that showing that you're trying to keep your child safe too. Your child should not be the one making the decisions. Yes, just like if you have a broken arm, you gotta take them to the hospital. You can't just, let them have control in those moments. They're looking for containment, and being consistent and listening is the most powerful tool for containment. And insist on therapy. I mean, how many of our teenagers are like, I don't need therapy, I'm only here because my parents made me, right? Like, well, you're here because you can't keep yourself safe, and therapy is meant to be another tool for your toolbox. And last, try to come up with a list of, well, how do you find treatment? Some of my friends, colleagues are, I don't know how to find a therapist. I don't know how to get help. I always refer people to call their child's doctor. Some places have a part-time social worker who will see them on a short-term basis. Sometimes they have a whole referral list. I think my doctor, they had like a 30 pages list of providers too, so they're a great resource. Connecting with your insurance company, a lot of like Mass Health websites or Harvard Pilgrim, they have a whole list of providers that are in network. Online search engines such as Psychology Today, connecting with the child's school, especially how I was saying, I'm in Neshoba High School and we're in the Clinton schools too that's a place that kids who are really high risk or really can't make it to our clinic, you can meet them right at school, and the guidance counselors are a great resource. There's a new behavioral health helpline from Mass Health. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I know if you Google it, it's an easy number. They're a very great resource of having different providers. If you're currently in distress, there's mobile crisis that it's also like a 1-800 number. Again, I don't know off the top of my head, but if your child or a friend is in crisis, mobile crisis, they're trained professionals that can talk to your child on the phone, or they come out to see you and make sure that if you don't need a higher level of care, kind of just listening. Because again, I think that's the thing here, is just helping our kids feel heard is the most powerful tool that we can provide. So Carol can kind of speak on the school aspect.
Hi, my name is Kara Dombrowski. I am a licensed mental health counselor and a therapist. I work here at RFK Community Alliance at Dr. Perkins School. And I think our school really focuses on servicing the needs of students with special education needs and mental health and behavioral challenges. And I feel really proud to work here and to be able to work with the students here around mental health and smashing that stigma, as they said, and helping them with suicidal ideation if it comes up. So a major part of our program is, when students come here for the first time, we ask parents and students, if they have a history of suicidal ideation, a history of gesturing or attempts, looking at if there's weapons in the home, or if they have, friends who have talked about suicide or things like that. And then also we do like a baseline suicide screening if that has been part of their history. We do a program within the classrooms every year. It's called the Signs of Suicide Program, SOS. And we do it through the 8th grade into our adult program, so ages 22. And we do a PowerPoint slide with videos, which are a mix of acting and scenarios, and then also some live act, people have experienced, similar to you, their own journeys. So the real core of that is the ACT acronym, which is acknowledge, signs of suicide, show your friend that you care, and then tell a trusted adult. So these are the things that we're teaching the students to be able to recognize in themselves and in their friends. And then for the students who are adults, we are looking to do treatment. So as they get older, they're, instead of telling a trusted adult, we want them to be able to seek their own services and look to their own providers, whether that be a mental health therapist or PCP or something like that. As Amanda said, 988 is something we also really try to teach the students as a resource, as well as really identifying a trusted adult for themselves, whether that be someone in the school or a parent or a coach or something like that. And we are all trained in the school to be the trusted adult. I know some kids don't always prefer us to be the trusted adult, but we all are trained here. And so we want to encourage students to feel comfortable in coming to us with these kind of questions and concerns. So we also have students who really struggle with suicide that go to school here. And so when students struggle here, we have a protocol to meet with them as a clinician. So I would meet with them if they make a comment or a gesture, and the meeting has to happen that day. And we do the Columbia Suicide Severity Risk Scale, and part of my job is to work on contacting parents, kind of making a plan going forward, like what does that look like? Do they need to be monitored at home? Do they need a screening? Do they need a hospitalization? Do they need a higher level of care? Maybe moving up an appointment with their provider if that's necessary. And then really because we're school, like are they safe to get on the bus? Are they safe to go home? Do they need a parent pickup? Something like that. So that's kind of the day-to-day in and outs for students that come to school here. So that's about it for what we do in school.
Suzanne and Anna, it was terrific. I also just want to give one more thank you to our advancement team who will pull all this together, make sure we have cookies and refreshments afterwards. So thank you, Naomi, Alicia, is Erin still here?
They're setting up.
Already working, Erin and Lisa. But thank you all for being here tonight.